Took pictures, took some video. We watched various places in the city, anywhere from the Back Bay down to Downtown Crossing, the North End. And we observed, and what our observations did was lead us into where we needed to go. One of the first things that really popped out at us was the signage in the city. It's supposed to be 15 minutes across the board. Some people had put notes over and said 1 hour, and they looked pretty official. Other people, the businesses had closed, and other valet companies had taken it over, and the city just never really audited it. So then we started measuring. I know it sounds ridiculous, but in the city street, me and my coworker take a tape measure and measure these places out, and we found that there was no rhyme or reason to how the sites were done, how they measured them, how they expensed them. We looked into the billing. The billing wasn't sent out on a regular basis. They're supposed to be paid off at the 1st of July every year, and we found out that more than half of the businesses hadn't been paying the bills in the 1st of the year because the office hadn't been sending bills out. Right. So what it did was it triggered a full audit of the system. And they actually went out and measured the spaces and saw which businesses were actually still in operation, where the signs were, that the signs were all uniform. And especially some of these luxury hotels, what had happened was or luxury residences, they had put 2-hour parking limited to only this business in front of the signs, and no one watched. So,
speaking of parking, I believe I also read a story that spoke about new housing developments that were going to be constructed, but they were either going to have limited or no parking spaces. Yeah. Now, is that something that FinCom would get involved in? Would they look at that, or is that something outside of your purview?
No, it's actually, the article's actually on my desk, and that's one of the stories that came to me through the newspaper. So what we will do is approach Tom Tinlin, who's the Director of Transportation, and ask him to put some sort of a restriction. If a developer is going to be doing this in the city, and I understand the need, we're now at a height, we're going up instead of out because we have no space left. So one of the things that we would like to see is that the Transportation Department actually restricts anybody who rents or buys an apartment in those buildings, saying that if they come in with saying we want a North End sticker, for instance, the building was in the paper, was near the North End, that they won't be able to get that sticker. And that may affect the price of the apartment or the condo, but I also don't want 260 units to be built on the edge of the North End and have North End residents without a place to park. If this is the deal you're striking, then you need to have it indemnified, and I need something to stop it from happening in the future.
So now with a new administration coming in, I'm assuming it's business as usual, or once the new mayor comes in and actually there's going to be a nice sized turnover within the city council, do you go and you meet with these folks, you talk to them prior, or do you just wait for a situation to pop up and then you begin the relationship with them?
We will most likely go in and meet with them. Since I've been here, this is really the largest one-time turnover that we've had. So,
that's for most of us.
And it's new territory to me, which is actually kind of exciting at the same time. But we'll go in and meet with them. We've had relationships with the city councilors, and I suppose it depends on the issue that you're dealing with. Sometimes they're just not happy with the issue you're dealing with, and they don't want to give you the access. Some better than others. For the most part, they've been open door policy with us, which has been very good. But we don't know what to expect, to be honest with you. And it wouldn't matter who the mayor is comes into my department. There's always room for correction and growth in the city. And where we've been there so long, and we have notes on. Sometimes we'll just keep notes and put them in a file. We will put together some sort of a document with the incoming mayor and say, these are issues that have been on our front plate for a while. We'd really like you to take them up and maybe take a look at them and give a new eye to it. And I think that may give us a chance to make some of the changes that we think could have helped the city maybe a few years ago. So,
the mayor's race that is still just about to end 4 or 5 weeks down the road now, really was, I thought, rather exciting. Very refreshing for the city, and I was really heartened by all of the new faces that jumped into the political arena to really want to work within the city structure to make it a better city. Now with that said, I'm assuming that you guys have no political affiliation. You have nothing to do with that. You don't talk to these folks at all, and you wait for everything. We wait for the dust to settle for the most part.
It's exactly what we do.
Okay, so you can't get involved in that, but you also cannot effectuate any sort of direction for them prior to say, hey, just say Michelle Wu, who's new. Have a conversation with her about the possibilities of what's going on in some area that you're looking at until she's actually seated on the city council.
Yeah, so what we've done traditionally is 3 months before an election, we kind of pull back from any public reporting. Part of the job is that we review unadvertised contracts over $25,000. So that's a day-to-day work. We did over 300 of them last year with a total of about $500 million. and that's just the two of us. So it keeps us busy enough, but we don't want to affect the election, and we don't want to give somebody a leg up inadvertently, because it really should be up to the citizens based upon what they feel about these candidates. We have in the past had candidates call us and say, I was looking at this, is there any information you have on that? And we are a public entity, so what we have is public information. Up until that report is issued, however, that stays in-house until after the election, and then you'll probably get 3 or 4 reports at one time, because we keep working, but we just don't make it public.
Being a public entity, can individuals come to your meetings? I mean, just citizens that want to sit in and listen to what's going on, or is that restricted?
Nope, it's public. The only time that there will be a little bit of an issue is during an executive session. For instance, we're working on something right now that potentially, if public got out and it really wasn't fully vetted, there are people that could be hurt, their names come up, what we think may have happened, or complaints we've received. So we generally go to executive session, but for the most part, all the meetings are open, and we will be very open about these executive sessions and ask people to leave the room during those discussions.
Now, do you also have a website? When you talk about your reports, do you actually put those on your website so that people can drop by and read them in its entirety?
We do. The website is, we designed and built ourselves because we didn't have the resources to go outside to get it done. So the website is bostonfincom.com. It's with 2 M's. And it's kept up to date, but it's difficult for us to do it. I do it on the weekends, to be honest.
I'm sure you have to do it yourself.
I do it myself.
Wow,
yeah.
Even the update. Okay.
Yeah. So it does help us with the independence, but it does take a lot of free time. And if there is any such thing, one of the things I've learned in the job is that I cannot drive through the city without finding something I think could be better done. So I have to run back and make notes and go call somebody. And so it's kind of ruined a little bit of going out to dinner in the city for me. But it's nice to see when things get done well around here, and it gives me a good feeling. I grew up in Braintree. My dad was a Boston police officer, and certainly when I took this job, didn't expect to have a job like this, did not want to enter politics, but I have an ability to help so many people in the city that it makes me feel very good.
How did you come to this position, this work?
I was working for a private company and in an MIS department, actually traveling around the country, and my mother actually died very suddenly. And the company offered me a promotion, but it came with the fact that I had to move out of state, and my father was devastated, as you can imagine, and I just couldn't take the job. So I took my savings and said, I'll just live off of that for a little bit. And then I heard about the job and didn't know what it was, and applied. And the previous director, Jeff Conley, great guy, went in. I said, I'm not sure what it is, but it sounds like it's kind of up my alley. I love research. I love computer. I love property. And he said, take the job for 6 months. He interviewed about 70 people, I think he said. And he said, take the job for 6 months. I like you, but I'm not sure. I said, me either. So, the big joke was 6 months later, every 6 months I'd come in, check in my office and say, you still here? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So, and it's been fantastic. He was an amazing mentor, great guy, one of the more calm souls I've ever met in my life. I wish I had what he had, because I tend to get very excited about issues. But it's been probably the highlight of my life, being able to help out this. I love the city. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, I can feel your passion, and your love for the work that you do, and principally watching out for the taxpayers and saving the money and making sure that we get what we're supposed to get.
Absolutely.
So that's a good thing. Listen, we're out of time for this segment, but Matt, I really, really appreciate you coming by and telling us exactly what it is that you do, because it's an agency that, although some have heard of you, probably some have not, but just to know that you're out there looking out for us and looking out for our dollars, which is, equally important. Really want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. And hopefully, if anybody knows anybody that needs help, we're out there for them.
Cool. What's you gave your website address? Is there a telephone number?
Sure. It's 617-635-2202, and either myself or Mike will answer the phone, because we're the only two there.
Right. You need some interns there, brother.
I know.
Thanks a lot, man. All right, look, folks, we're about to go to a break. On the other side, we're going to talk to Frederica Williams, the CEO of Whittier Health Center. So please do stay tuned.